put more than $1 million in this house.
And guess what? I don't care.
Ex-Hollywood Madam Heidi Fleiss offers an intimate glimpse inside a remote $1 million bird house in the Nevada desert, where she lives with dozens of feathered pets, who fly freely around her home and crawl on her while she sleeps. Infamous Hollywood Madam Heidi Fleiss has offered an incredibly rare glimpse inside a remote Nevada sanctuary, sharing an intimate tour of the property, where she has sought solace for the last 2 decades. After fleeing Los Angeles amid a storm of scandal, the notoriously private 57-year-old opened the doors to her home in a candid video shared with DailyMail.com, lifting the lid on her daily life, which she spends caring for her beloved pet parrots, who have free run of the sprawling $1 million property. In 1994, Heidi became one of the world's most talked about women when she was busted for running a lucrative prostitution ring. But these days the former party girl has turned her back on the City of Angels and is instead, fittingly, living on the outskirts of Sin City. Heidi famously said back in 2005 that she had the party, the party through the party, was the party, but that she was finally partied out, and, true to her word, has since embraced a quiet and very remote life that is a world away from the seedy law underbelly she once ruled over. These days, the former madam surrounds herself not with celebrities or prostitutes, but rather a pandemonium of parrots with whom she resides in her isolated Nevada refuge, which she lovingly refers to as her bird house. Having spent several years behind bars herself, it might make sense that Heidi does not keep her beloved pet birds caged up, instead allowing them to fly freely through the home, which she has renovated specifically to meet their needs, using DE skills that she learned in prison to transform the home into a giant bird sanctuary. In total, Heidi now owns 23 exotic and endangered birds, some of which she has traveled to the ends of the earth to acquire. The Heidi seen in the video is unrecognizable from the perfectly coiffed, heavily made-up madam, who donned a miniskirt suit and heels, as she stood before a jury in 1994, when she was found guilty on 3 counts of pandering. Gone are the sleek pin-straight locks that she famously modeled back in her law days, with Heidi now embracing her natural curls and opting to go makeup-free and casual. The ex-madam did make one subtle nod to her past, however, sporting a ripped blue t-shirt that featured the rather risque logo for the Moonlight Bunny Ranch, a legal Nevada brothel founded by her late ex-boyfriend Dennis Hoff, who passed away in 2018. Anyone not familiar with the infamous mating bunny's image, however, would likely have little idea that the ultra-casual bird lover waxing lyrical about her desert retreat was ever one of the most talked about women in the world. Together, the ex-madam and her feathered friends reside in the rather ramshackle home, which has no foundation and rests upon a 10-acre plot of land in Pahrump, Nevada. Far from the modern, pristine glass-walled mansions that have become the must-have home of the Hollywood elite, Heidi's house is anything but contemporary, and has instead been tailor-made to offer her pet birds every amenity they might need. The former inmate ripped up all the carpet inside the home and replaced it with tile, a skill that she learned during her 20-month prison stint, during which she mastered carpentry and construction. Furniture inside is scarce, including in her bedroom, which only has a mattress that is surrounded by a wooden frame that the birds use a perch with Heidi, even allowing them to crawl over her as she sleeps. Everything is for them, Heidi said, while giving a tour to her lifelong friend Lady Sham Ibrahim. It is a bird house. It took a long time to build it, and it is called Learn As You Go. Outside, she has created a lush green jungle for her birds, a theme that carries on through the property, which is filled with plants that she tends to regularly, often while singing to her pets. The wooden property, which features a large porch made up of haphazard beams that the birds can happily perch on. Surrounding the home is a vast piece of land that has several rusty chairs scattered across it, and a large sunken pit that Heidi had intended to turn into a lake, but which now sits abandoned with a black sheet of plastic covering it. According to Heidi, the house has been left in a state of disarray since early 2022. When she announced plans to move to Missouri, after one of her pet macaws, Chewy, was shot in the leg by a BB gun on Christmas Eve 2021. I've had no upkeep here because I thought I would be moved, she explained, before revealing that she has since decided to stay put, largely for the sake of her birds, who have run riot over her once prized designer possessions, including her Bentley, which has been torn up by the parrots. Yet Heidi no longer seems concerned with material things, instead focusing her finances on building up her collection of feathered friends, which has come at something of a steep price, with the former madam paying up to $50,000 for some of the more exotic pets who now roam free about her home. However, for Heidi, the friendship and companionship that her birds have provided is priceless, and she has no regrets about splashing her cash to add to her growing gaggle. You know what? I don't care. It is money you can always make back. The birds are certainly more than simple pets to Heidi, who has all but isolated herself from the world within the fences that surround her sprawling desert escape, which can only be reached after driving up a 1-mile driveway, and only after passing a somewhat unwelcoming sign reading, "Keep out." Any visitors who are lucky enough to have been invited inside Heidi's inner circle have their arrival announced by one or more of the birds screeching at their owner, an all-natural security system that helps the former madam to maintain her privacy. Heidi is a very solitary person, and it was incredible that she even allowed me to visit, let alone film Sham, a drag queen who became close to Heidi in the early 2000s, said of her video tour. She is very sensitive to cameras and secret filming because of what she went through when she was arrested. Heidi has taken serious steps to cut herself off from the Hollywood circle that she ran in for so many years, moving out to Nevada in the early 2000s, shortly after her acrimonious split from actor Tom Sizemore, whom she later accused of abuse. Initially, she planned to take advantage of Nevada's prostitution laws by opening a legal brothel. However, by 2015, she had shelved those plans, telling the Las Vegas Review-Journal that she didn't want to work so hard or deal with all the nonsense in the sex business. These days, Heidi's focus is her birds and living a quiet life away from the cameras and scrutiny that once overshadowed every aspect of her life. Quietly, she has undergone something of a transformation, revealing after her tour that she is now 7 weeks sober, a decision made after the sudden death of her friend and ex, Tom Sizemore. Tom died in March of a heart attack at age 61. Having spent the previous month in a coma after suffering a brain aneurysm. Heidi and Tom's early 2000s romance was tumultuous and highly publicized. In 2003, Heidi accused Tom of domestic violence, and he was convicted and jailed for 17 months. Meanwhile, Heidi dodged substance abuse convictions until 2008, when she was arrested for DUI in Nevada. Heidi has tried to overcome her demons before. In 2018, she entered Pasadena Recovery Center, and her treatment was filmed for Celebrity Big Brother with Dr. Drew. In a twist of fate, Tom was also cast and the two became friends. In the 1990s, Heidi took on the nickname Hollywood Madam when she was caught running an elite prostitution ring of 500 women. She says that her gorgeous gals earned her $300,000 a week. Heidi spoke to The Hollywood Reporter in 2018 on the 25th anniversary of her arrest. She revealed that she began working as an escort at age 22 in 1987, after meeting Madame Alex, a procuress to the stars. 3 years after she got her start, she took on the role of Madame Alex and launched her own prostitution service, only recruiting high-end talent who were clean-cut and perfect, as if they were born and raised in Beverly Hills. Her girls would charge clients about $1,500 a night, of which Heidi would receive 40%. She was also said to carry an infamous red 28-page Gucci planner. That was her black book, containing the names of her famous clients. One of these clients was Charlie Sheen, who said he spent $53,000 on her services. After 3 years of running the sex service, she was arrested exactly 30 years ago, in June 1993. Following a high-profile court trial, Heidi was convicted on 3 counts of pandering and sentenced to 3 years in prison. Her conviction was overturned in 1996. She didn't escape the law, though. She ended up serving 20 months in federal prison after being convicted of federal tax evasion. Following her release, she left law and moved to Pahrump, where she still resides. Following Sham's visit to her house, she told DailyMail.com that despite her criminal record and prison time she has served, Heidi is incredibly morally sound. In fact, she is one of the most honest people I've ever known. She is absolutely against stealing, lying, and will cut people out of her life without hesitation if she suspects they are dishonest. She told me she admired me for having the courage to transition, because it meant I was being true to myself and not hiding my identity, Sham said. Lady Sham, who identified as a man when she met Heidi in 2004, says that Heidi has gone to incredible lengths to rescue and save birds from abusive owners, including driving across the country. I think in the end her legacy will end up being about advocating for the rights of birds and changing laws that make it illegal to own birds as pets in cages, not being a pimp. This is her true passion, Sham concluded.